hard as you want.
If you haven't found it yet, look at it. And don't settle.
If I were to ask you, what builds a future? Is it talent? Or maybe luck? Some would say opportunity. But maybe it's something simpler. A belief. We believe that true legacy is never built on perfection. It's built on passion. Because something funny happens when you've got passion. Everything else it just falls in line. And somewhere, quietly, something has begun. Not a college, not a school, a challenge. A space where students choose to build not just their careers, but themselves. This is 100xSchool, and this is just the beginning.
वीजा का तो मैंने सोचा भी नहीं था कि वो स्पॉन्सर करेंगे मुझे, लेकिन कोहोर्ट 1 ज्वाइन किया और उसके बाद में जैसे डेवलपमेंट स्किल्स हो गई, साथ में डेवऑप्स की स्किल्स, साथ में और एक्स्ट्रा चीजें जैसे ब्लॉकचेन वगैरह भी सीखी, तो उससे फिर आई लैंडेड टू दिस जॉब।
आजकल अपना तो फुल टाइम चल रहा है, देखो, और बढ़िया चल रहा है, फ्रीलांस करने का जरूरत भी नहीं है। जितने पैसे आते हैं उसमें से 10-12% यूज का खर्च कर पाता हूँ मैं, तो बाकी तो पड़े रह जाते हैं।
और now they are finally sponsoring my visa so that I can go to US and work there.
So हमें कभी लगा नहीं था कि हम इतनी बड़ी कम्युनिटी बना पाएंगे, but it just happened.
And then like just 2 days after that, Kira told me, are you looking for a job or a gig? Then I told him, yeah, I was looking for one. Even though I was doing internship in a Hyderabad-based company, then he referred me to station, and till then, I'm just working here for like 1.5 years. Yeah.
Very few people care about delivering student outcomes as much as Kira does, right? He's typically distracted when you're talking about like work, logistics, this and that, but he's very locked in when you talk about his students, his cohort, the work he does. When he takes a class, I've seen him take a few classes live, and he's really, really locked in. And so that gave us the conviction that we should do more things together.
After 2 days, I got my first referral, and I was like, is this much easy getting a referral, getting a job? And in the span of 3 or 4 days, I got 2 or 3 referrals, and he was like, this is better than this is better than this, try this.
I first heard Hakirat speak at a meetup in Bangalore. What he said really stuck with me. He talked about remote work, global opportunities, and taking initiative. That moment shifted something for me. At the time, I was already working full-time in Bangalore, but after hearing him, I started exploring more, learning about async work, building side projects, and thinking beyond local opportunities. Eventually, I came across 𝗟𝗶, which is a job board for international tech roles. That's how I landed my current job role, and it all started with one post on Twitter.
Alright, let me set the context for the video. This is one of few documentaries that we release from time to time, and this one is on the initiation of 100xSchool. For the past 6 months, we've spent a lot of time, energy trying to build a campus where we'll be conducting a 4-year undergrad program for years to come, hopefully perpetually. These videos tend to get hate from time to time, so I thought I'd address this upfront. We're expecting a lot of hate anyways. But generally, I'll talk through the motivation behind building all of this, our past experiences, and then we can get right into the video. The school was started or initiated around 6 months ago when we thought that the traditional education system is broken. It isn't a new thought, it's a very common and openly known truth that colleges in the country are not doing well. And it's a very obvious bet for us to take. Before we took this bet, we made sure we took another smaller bet called Super 30, where we got 50 people and 80% of them, that's around 40 people, got placed with a median package of 15 lakhs and an average package of 18 lakhs. When we released that video, in fact, we did a documentary back for Super 30 as well 6 months ago. We got a lot of hate back then as well. But in the end, all of that did not end up mattering because these people ended up paying 50,000 rupees to join Super 30 the last time. Most of them got much more than that in lieu of it. The same is going to be true in the school. The kind of value that we'll provide will most probably lead to placements, even though there is no guarantee of a placement. As long as there is hiring happening in the tech industry, the kind of 22-year-olds that will come out of here will for sure be more skilled than an average or above average lot. I think 99% of the colleges of the country are not providing any value, and I'm happy to debate this publicly with anyone from any college any day of the week. There are a few common concerns that people have towards building something like this. One is the degree, and the degree that we recommend the student takes is a BITS Pilani BSc with honors 4 years or an IIT Madras BS degree. Both of them are 4-year undergrad degrees. Even though they are online degrees, they are from accredited colleges and they cover all the criteria for going for a master's or sitting for placements or applying for visas outside the country. We've made sure we've covered all the corners and we're on the right side of the regulation. I personally believe that the education department or the government is very open to initiatives like these. There's just some lala somewhere in some government college who feels like, oh, these new colleges are going to be a little different, and hence institutions like ours aren't recognized by the government. But that's exactly why we make the student go through either the BITS Pilani or the IIT Madras degree. The only way we actually make it big is if we deliver outcomes like we did in the last Super 30, because that's obviously a better outcome than 99.9% of the colleges of the country. Through these teething pains, through a lot of hate and through a lot of struggles of building this, we finally formalized this and we're starting the 100x School from 11th of August. It's a place where we'll have 100 undergrads in our first year, 100 people for the next Super 30 who will be people in their fourth year or grads who are really good at what they do, just don't have a job right now. And we'll hope for similar outcomes for them. We also have 20 people who cracked GSOC this year from 100x Devs who will be joining us on campus. And the rest is on me, on us, the teachers, and our placement connects. This documentary covers the last 2 years of journey of 100x Devs, the kind of outcomes that we've delivered, the kind of lives that we've changed. We're hoping for something similar in the years to come. With that, expecting a lot of hate in the comments, and I'll see you in the video.
So in 2018, I got a dream offer from an IIT. I had joined computer science at IIT Roorkee. My AIR was pretty lucrative, I would say, 658. And even after joining an IIT, I hustled fairly well for my fees, cracked a bunch of internships, made sure I was able to pay my fee, and got a day zero offer at Goldman Sachs that paid 30 lakhs per annum. Everything felt perfect on paper. When I reached Bangalore for the first time, 1 week after we reached, we were all moved to the US for 2 weeks for an offsite. Things were great, family was happy, mother had left her job, paycheck was hitting the bank. Yet, something felt off. On a random weekday, I went to a hackathon. I met a bunch of other people from India who were 18, 19. Honestly, these would be people I would judge back in college. Why have they not gone to college or what are they doing exactly? But they had rented similar hotels. They were eating food with us and paying their own bills. I was stuck in a very weird conundrum of how is it that I have followed the best path and excelled everywhere? I've done everything by the book. Yet there are people who are younger, more successful, and seem like had the most ad hocish path as possible. Something felt off in this perfect journey of mine. I, being someone who followed the book really well, cracked the most competitive examination in the country, over there made sure I was one of the best people and got a day zero offer, was able to reach a spot sponsored by my company that was paying me an India salary, compared to someone else who was 18, 19, had barely gone to college, was freelancing for random companies and paying for everything from his own pocket. And while I tried my best to justify he might be from a better off family or maybe it's just luck if you want to come to the US, and this thought remained in my head while I was working at Goldman. The full 1.5 journey of me being at Goldman felt fairly gloomy every time I thought of them. I started to work at my company. I was fairly comfortable. I think 30 lakhs per annum as a 22-year-old in India is a really good salary. But amongst the good things that come from an IIT, one bad thing that comes is your ambition remains limited. Your ambition is what your batchmates are doing, which back then, honestly, everyone was doing a job, and 30 to 40 LPA actually was one of the good offers from my batch. After a year and a half at Goldman, and thanks to a back injury that I got, I was able to spend 4 months back home. During this 4-month break, I tried freelancing, and in my very first month, I made around close to my Goldman salary. And then came the time of either going back to Goldman or continuing freelancing. I chose the second path. Thankfully, my family was on my side this time because of the medical issues. But before I realized, in the next 6 months, I made around $50,000, which was my Goldman salary. This is when I realized my ceiling was probably limited. This is when I remembered those people from the hackathon and what they might be doing right. And things spiraled up from there. It was a good time to be in tech, and my bet played off. I started freelancing in 3-4 companies at the same time. I was making around 200K a year, which honestly in a small town like Mohali was a lot of money, especially if you're saving a lot of taxes, staying in with your family, your food and everything is taken care of. In a span of 3 years, I made enough money to survive. I think I had enough assets, houses, paid off all the debts. And I'm sure this would have taken me at least 10 years if I would have stayed at Goldman, not just because the offer was less, but because I was very reckless with money. I had no idea how I only had 50,000 by the end of the month that I could save. This changes drastically if you're making more than 10 lakh a month. I think your P&L is really sorted, especially if you don't have 2 houses to maintain, one in Mohali and one in Bangalore. The freelancing journey didn't end though. I started to work for a few companies full-time after that. I moved to Chicago for a few months to work at Backpack and eventually landed at Japan, which was my last full-time offer. And in this span of 4 years, I could clearly see a stark difference in me and a peer of mine who was still at Goldman. I could see the power of taking risks early and how it compounded over a span of 4 years. This journey gave me perspective. When I came back to India and looked around a random Indian dev, I could clearly see a stark difference between the mindset, the thinking, the way you learn, the way you contribute in an Indian developer working at an on-site company, let's say, and someone who's just really high agency, trying to figure things out on their own, not following things by the book. I could tell, there are colleges that you can just look at and tell that people there are really smart. MIT, UCB, probably even Waterloo is a good example of this. It was hard to find a college like that in India that was producing engineers that were not doing everything by the book, that were figuring things out on their own. This is when I thought it might be time to take another risk, and I thought of exploring one of many options of what I should do next.
Hi everyone.
So I started YouTube actually back in 2018 because I used to do a bunch of filmmaking back in college. But I really restarted it back around 2023. The initial thought was just to talk to a screen and talk about my day-to-day, the path that I've taken, the kind of money that you can make remotely. I didn't really plan to teach on YouTube for a long time, but a friend of mine, Samir, said you should probably start teaching.
Why 100xSchool exists, and why now at all times, this is even being made possible. I think one of the major factor is we are in a post-AI world now. There are a lot of coding tools that are available, and I have been from private engineering college. I know, how you get a BTech degree out of a private engineering college. How much coding you end up learning in the end is minuscule. I graduated without coding a single line. So I'm the extreme example of that spectrum. The reason why we are setting up the college now is in a post-AI world, this level of mediocrity in terms of coding will not work. You will not be able to get jobs. Now in, let's say, the mass recruiters who were making these private engineering colleges run successfully. So I feel that today, anybody who is aspiring to become, let's say, a software engineer, either, you can get into the premier institutions and, crack a IQ test basically like JEE, and then, you will be faring well because people will hire you for your IQ only. They would expect you to learn on the job. But if you're not, getting an admission there, the only option that you would have, to make serious money or, at least get employed for a long term as a software engineer would be to get real world or real project experience.
Actually, I felt I was missing something over there because in some months I was getting paid really well, but in some months I had nothing. So one day Sargam told me there's one boot camp that is Super 30, and actually I didn't used to watch 𝗟𝗶හි𝗸𝘀's video, and then he told me if you want to go there you might miss the exams as well, and missing the exams was a great deal for me back then. Right now I don't worry about it. And then I told, yeah, it's fine, but I'm not ready to pay that much because I won't pay that much. I didn't used to watch the videos, so I told him I don't want to pay that much, and he told I'll pay for everything. You just go and spend your 4 months over there.
So Sargam joined Cohort 2. He wasn't the loudest, but he was extremely consistent. You could tell on GitHub he was one of the top contributors. I was actually very surprised to know he was still in college, and he was one of the initial referrals that we made from Cohort 2. I was actually pretty surprised to see later that he's a great teacher as well. When he taught in Super 30 and his feedback was great. And I think that primarily comes from his depth of knowledge and curiosity towards computer science.
I wanted to learn. I had like no any expectations. I was just like curious and I was just there. So I think it was much more of a dopamine hit rather than like earning this much or earning that much. So whenever Kirat did open source, like he did open source on CMS, daily code and all that stuff, I was really invested into it. So Kirat would reply 12 hours later, and right like 5 minutes later, I would reply back to that. So I was that much engaged in the thing. And later on, as days went on, like I think our conversation became a bit more like frequent, and I met him first time on the Bangalore meetup, and that was I think something that I teared myself. So I was like so happy that I was able to meet someone whom I like look up to. And then like just 2 days after that, Kirat told me, are you looking for a job or a gig? Then I told him, yeah, I was looking for one. Even though I was doing internship in a Hyderabad-based company, then he referred me to station, and till then, I'm just working here for like 1.5 years. Yeah, that's all.
What we want to do is have a limited set of students who are serious about their, career, and focus on them, train them, and make them, very employable in the 4-year program that we have. And by the end of it, I think you would. Basically, it's an economic decision if you look at it. By the end of it, you will be able to make that money back within, let's say, 6 months to 1 year if you're good at it. So if you do it, if you perform well, if you are sincere, this is sort of an investment in yourself. And at the end of 4 years, you will get to make that money back.
So 𝗟𝗶 did not really come to us as a beginner. I was actually very surprised to see him at Super 30. He came in because he's friends with Sargam. And as soon as he came, I could tell he was really cracked. He was so cracked that I immediately sort of hired him myself for 3 months. And he worked with us, extremely high execution speed. And I could tell by the end of it, it was just the market that was saturated and not his skills that were leading to him not getting a job. By the end of Super 30, we referred him, and through some twists and turns based on his communication skills, we referred him, and he got a 40 lakh offer, which what he tells me was life-changing for him. He's again still in college, but one of the most cracked developers that I know.
I came to Delhi and I was sprinting a lot. I used to sleep 3 or 4 hours a day. Actually, for the whole month, I just slept that much. And after 2 days, I got my first referral, and I was like, is this much easy getting a referral, getting a job? And in the span of 3 or 4 days, I got 2 or 3 referrals. And he was like, this is better than this is better than this, try this. And later, after 4 or 5 days, he told, do you want to work with me? And I told, yeah, that's a great fortune for me. And then I started working for him, and I worked for 4 months probably, and I got another referral in the company that I'm currently working, that is a US-based startup, and I'm getting really well paid over there. And now everything is great, everything is going good, and yeah.
He cracked the referral immediately. I honestly didn't even teach him how to code. His referral was instant. He immediately got in. He didn't really need me to teach him anything. All he needed was a referral.
I think like at 100xSteps, the best part is the community, because you see a lot of people are like interested here, and whenever you go on Twitter and scroll, you see like all of the 100x students are getting like gigs that pay in US dollar, thousands of US dollar, and you see like am I missing something? Then my answer would be like, yeah, definitely, yeah, because if you are really good at what you do, if you are great at what you do, then like Kirat will like pay no hesitation in referring you to a place. So he did for me. I would not say like I'm good at anything, but like folks like Sujit, he got into like many DevOps opportunities. After that, Chaitanya was like one of the best among the Solana people. Then like he got a 100k offer similar with Satyam Suvam. He was good at React Native, and the examples are like endless. So that's like one part that you would not want to miss. And other thing is that like in Super 30 also, it was like mostly community driven rather than like Kirat would tell like learn this, build this project. It was rather like oh, I learned something interesting today. Did you know about this? Like and all those kind of discussions. They bring the lot of rewards for like the total community. During Bangalore meetup, so I had my diary that I always carry with me. So in the first place, I started that diary in 2021. So that's my entire journal of my dev journey. And I told Kirat to write something about me. So he wrote, I really love your pull request. Always keep them coming. And he did like his name there. Even though like it's not, it's like a doctor's handwriting, but yeah, if you look closely, it's that. And I think that has given me a lot of power. After that, like I contributed to a very big repos. I contributed to, I even went to like one of the top members of anti-work, Gumroad, and a lot more. Like I even contributed to a lot of other repos. So that is like a very good starting point for me. And then like right after, like Kirat had like a conversation with me, and I think like more frequently I asked him whether I could like manage like CMS and like other projects that he was maintaining. So I became like a maintainer there, and like I think then like we became like more close when I came to Super 30, and now I'm in college. So yeah, this is like a very unreal series of event that happened to me.
I think both 100x and Super Team are built on the same core principle that talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not, right? And I think in part that might be because Kirat himself was an early Super Team member and he lived through that experience, right? He joined the community with a small Instagram to build YouTube tutorial videos about how to build on Solana. He then ended up getting a job at one of the biggest and most prestigious projects, the most promising projects in the ecosystem, with global comp, equity, and all of that, right? And now, of course, he's come back to build this amazing brand and community where if you follow him and you put in the work, you can escape your local college placements in favor of global remote opportunities, right? And that's how we ended up doing the podcast, the mini hackathons, the fellowship. These are all different formats that we sort of try and test out to see what's the best way to engage with his community and audience. And so when he mentioned that he was doing the 100xSchool, it was a no-brainer for Solana Super Team to be involved in whatever capacity that made sense, right? Because the physical space of a school really increases the surface area because you have a student who is focused, who's committed, who's captive, who has volunteered to put in the work there, right? Which then means that you can really take the digital first learn, earn, and build funnel and really blow it up, expand it, and embed it into the curriculum and the college experience in a way that just isn't possible with your regular institutions or regular, schools or, what have you. And so we're really excited that students at, the 100xSchool will be able to learn how to build on Solana from Kirat himself and the amazing faculty and team he's putting together there, but will also be able to test those skills in a way that collapses a 4-year funnel into a weekend, right? Which means that you can learn something in the week, you can compete for bounties over the weekend, or you can do the hackathon, you can apply for the fellowship, all this abundance of earning opportunities that we try to create at the talent layer, right? We want to minimize the permission that you need. And so for that, you create an abundance of earning and learning opportunities where if you build some skill, there'll be something or the other that you can test it out on and to keep leveling yourself up and, going further down. And so we're really excited to see how that plays out in the context of a college. So all the very best to everybody. If you're watching this and you're starting out at 100xSchool, awesome. Huge props to you for taking that leap of faith on yourself and you're putting in the work, and hopefully we'll see you guys there sometime.
All these have been executed by us in just a period of 6 months. So imagine, what can be done in a cycle of 4 years in this case, and with students who we are able to train from ground up. I think that is what we are excited about, that we'll get to deliver this to the students.
𝗟𝗶H, I totally forgot about him. He's actually the very first referral I made. It's a very funny story. I was in the US, very randomly going through an accelerator. वहाँ पे I found a different company. They were just starting out, new founder.
तो कोहोर्ट ज्वाइन करने से पहले मेरे को ये पता नहीं था कि मेरी स्किल्स इतनी अच्छी भी हो सकती हैं जिससे कि मैं इंडिया में रह के रिमोटली यूएस में काम कर पाऊँ। और इवन वीजा का तो मैंने सोचा भी नहीं था कि वो स्पॉन्सर करेंगे मुझे। लेकिन कोहोर्ट 1 ज्वाइन किया और उसके बाद में जैसे डेवलपमेंट स्किल्स हो गई, साथ में डेवऑप्स की स्किल्स, साथ में और एक्स्ट्रा चीजें जैसे ब्लॉकचेन वगैरह भी सीखी, तो उससे फिर आई लैंडेड टू दिस जॉब और नाउ दे आर फाइनली स्पॉन्सरिंग माय वीजा so that I can go to US and work there.
I wasn't even sure company चलेगी नहीं चलेगी उस time पे. The co-founder just had a co-founder breakup. He was starting his new thing. But he randomly said I need a dev. 𝗟𝗶H was performing really well in cohort 1. ये पहले cohort की बात है. And I randomly referred. He was really good. मतलब he was super impressed immediately. And he got in India से पहले. So he started working remotely from India. I think he was 20 or 21 back then. ये शायद 2 साल पहले की बात है. And now after 2 years and after a grinding process of a year of going through an O1, he finally received his O1 like day before yesterday, and now he's moving to the US for the same company, and he's going to work from the US with the founders directly over there. तो ये पहला international sort of referral काफी लंबा रहा हमारा. उस company ने, that company has had at least 6 people from us until now. 𝗟𝗶H being the first one and the one who's moving to the US right now. That's what matters the most. We weren't their teachers, we were just the environment. The community is the curriculum at 100x School. We ran Super 30, where 52 people joined and 42 have a job by now in a span of 6 months. It wasn't luck, it was a process. So we asked if we can deliver these outcomes in 6 months, what can we do in 4 years? We're building a place where students come, bang their heads for 4 years, trying to learn programming from the best experts who are 10 years ahead of them, currently working in the industry. If that is you, only if you're up for this challenge, is 100x School a place for you. I think, honestly, when we started to think of building this, the goal was to build a better college, जो हमें पता है इंडिया में exist नहीं करता.
And you know, मैं तो private engineering college से ही आया हूँ, तो I know the problems that are there, the bureaucracy that is there, the attendance rules that are there. So we are just trying to build a space wherein students can come and actually focus on learning instead of like focusing on creating files and you know the other jargon that is there in an engineering program.
और मैं Tier 1 कॉलेज से आया हूँ, but वहाँ पे भी similar problems exist. वो भी दूध के धुले नहीं हैं. I think even good colleges, bad colleges all have very similar problems that we're trying to tackle. Of course, there are some things you get from a good college. It'll take us years to reach that sort of a stature to compete with an IIT. But the downsides will be taken care of from day zero, and I think time will play its part eventually, and we'll be able to compete at a global level.
With the right mentors, the right community, the right people and the right culture, this can last for decades.